Hello and welcome to another episode of Mastering Adam, Becoming the Best Adam for Your Eve. My name is Casper Stockham. I'm excited to be here today with you, and I'm excited to have a good friend of mine, Brian Arnold, on the podcast as well. We're going to get to Brian here in just a second. Hey, we are live on several Facebook channels, so if you're on Facebook, you can chime into the show by asking questions or what have you. Just go ahead and do that on our Facebook, on my main Facebook channel, or on YouTube, or on LinkedIn, or on what else we on Twitter as well. All right. So before we get started, our sponsors to the podcast is I Am Love Builders. And my wife and I wrote a book called Divorce Proofing Your Marriage, and you can get a copy of it, or you can get more information by going to our website. Yes, IamLoveBuilders.com, and there's a copy of the cover of the book. We also have a free ebook that you can get as well from the website, and it has the first 5 chapters of the book in that ebook. And the first 5 chapters are jam-packed, so you can check that out as well. All right. So we're going to get right into the show here. I got a great guest lined up for you. Again, Brian Arnold, who's a husband, father, grandfather. Are you a great-grandfather yet?
No, I'm not a great-grandfather yet. My oldest grandchild is 12, so I'm hoping we go another at least 10 years before we're.
You got a while. You got a while. I am a great-grandfather, my friend.
All right, I love it.
My grandson, my great-grandson is now walking. So he's like 10 months old, 11 months old, something like that.
Wow.
Brian is also an entrepreneur and a good friend. You can go to his website, brianarnold.com, to get more information about him. He's also in the mortgage business, and he's just a really, really great guy. I'm glad that we got a chance to connect on the show, my friend. All right. So, yeah. The topic for today is the importance of maintaining a good reputation. And, I think Adam initially probably had a great reputation until the fall, and then it kind of went south pretty quick. On some of the past shows, we talked about what may or may not have happened. Of course, the Bible is not very specific on the actions after the fall. There's not a lot of conversations between him and his children and so forth. We didn't know he had children. He had sons and daughters and so forth. But we don't know what he told them or didn't tell them about the garden, about God, and so forth. We know that he probably told them somebody had to tell them about making offerings to God, because we know about the big dust up between Cain and Abel. Abel bringing his first choice offerings to God, and Cain bringing some fruit. He just brought some fruit, and that wound up being a big issue for God, and it wound up causing Cain to kill his brother and so forth. We know the story, but the reputation of an individual is critical, and I'm glad you're on the show about this, because I know with your background and some of the things you've done and stuff, we kind of had a brief conversation. When you don't have a good reputation, things don't go well for you, right? So it's something that we have to be very aware of and really work on that. In fact, I don't know exactly how to put this, but reputation it's just critical. It's just one of the most important things to have in your life. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, you think about, we are only as good as our word. We are only, when we think about what really moves us in this world is relationships, and the people that we hang around, and the people that we interact with, whether it's on a daily basis. And we are now in a world where our word is not just within a small community. Because of social media and because of the internet and because of this, ability to find out everything about everybody, at least what they think they want you to know, it becomes even more important, because we are searching for connectedness. I think God has created us to be beings that need each other. We can't do this by ourselves.
Right.
And with the internet and with this social media thing, sometimes we forget that there's two ways to this connectedness, because I put whatever content that I want out there, and then I expect that people just believe who I am and what my reputation is based on the content that I put out there. And even more is, how do you trust what you're seeing? Because if you don't have that relationship and you haven't created that reputation of other people saying things about you, you're only as good as what people perceive to be what your word is. And I think we trust people. Most likely we say, I believe you because what you said, but then they go look you up and they see all these other interactions and these videos or whatever it is and go, wait a minute, that's not the same person that's talking to me right now is the person that I'm seeing there. So maintaining that means that you are, they say that you're a camera, you're always on camera, but I don't think people really see that, but if you're living the life that it doesn't matter that you're on camera, and that's what I think is a good reputation is wherever I'm at, I'm the same person, and my reputation precedes me as that person.
Right.
How do I grow up? Because obviously I'm not perfect and we're not perfect beings, but they can see my shortcomings, they can see my great things. But if I can be consistent, in what God has asked me to do, then I'm not worried about what that is. My reputation will be that if my word is my bond.
Yeah. I know Adam never had to worry about social media, but in today's society, you have to worry about social media. And like you said, we're always on camera. Even if you're not on a social media site, you're on camera somewhere. If you go to the store, you're driving down the road, right? You're always on camera. So I know one of our current congresswomen got into trouble because she thought that she was not on camera when she was, and there were some things going on. So it's tough. It is even tougher now today because we're on camera and everything is being recorded. Your words, your actions, and so forth are all being tracked to some degree. So,
and it's there forever. It's there forever because it's not like I made a mistake today. These kids who are in high school that are doing things and saying things, 20 years from now, a boss is probably going to, they're applying for something and somebody will be able to find what happened 20 years ago, which is unheard of.
Exactly. It doesn't go away. You're 100% right. As you know, I had several years in politics, over 10 years in politics. So all those things are still out there, right? All the good and the bad and the ugly is all still out there. So, and it all affects your reputation, right? People can, as you say, people can easily look you up. You can Google me or Google you, and what comes up is going to represent your reputation. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's you exactly, but it's going to give people an opinion about you.
And it doesn't take into account growth, right? Because for me, one of the things, reading your guys' book and all the different things that I've done in the last 30 years of my life, I am not even close to the same person I was 30 years ago.
Exactly.
And I've grown into this person. And so I hate to be judged by what happened 20 years ago or 15 years ago. But I do know now I would probably be judged about who I am today, 10 years from now. And the more people that I interact, I think about things before I have conversations. I really try to say, how can I better this person that I'm talking to on a daily basis? Why I'm having this conversation. Where I fall short is like customer service. I don't do good with customer service, and I figure one day I'm going to have a customer service person who's going to record my call with them. But to me, you can't make me put on hold for a half hour and then read a script and not listen to me without me getting a little bit heated on that. So I have to work on that because I think I don't know what their situation was. I don't know how they came to work. I don't know what's going on in their life, that, they're trying to do a job, and they've been given whatever script by a company. And when I think about who they might be as a person, it can change my attitude about what they're actually doing or conversing.
Sure. Yeah, and as Christians and stuff, we really should work to, and I fail at this a lot. I'm still growing. In fact, you talk about the growth pattern of where you were 10 years from now as opposed to now and so forth. Brother, I've been growing through this series that I've started, this Mastering Adam series, because I was thinking it was going to help other men, but it's helping me grow through this process as well. Setting the foundation for a reputation. When I talk to young men and women all the time, I know of when we were doing Project Purpose and stuff, going into inner cities, talking to young folks. They have to realize that this starts early, right? This starts when you are a young teen. Right. Your reputation precedes you, as they say. You go into a classroom and teacher says, "Oh, that's that bad young man. He was in the last class, last year." Right. So we tell them to set the foundation. What would be your advice to a young person or even an older person to set the foundation of reputation?
Yeah, when I really think about what does that mean, to set that foundation, when I think about that, I see myself saying, if integrity is who you are when no one's looking,
right?
That kind of is the foundation for me, is who I am all the time,
right,
when no one's looking. And then how I react is the other part of the foundation, is what examples do I have? What mentors do I have? And I know, as a parent, as a grandfather, it's so important to me to be that great that great representation, or that great example, not only for my grandkids and my great grandkids, but having those conversations with young folks about the things that we don't usually get to talk about. The things that are going on in their lives, the things that are their character and their value. And developing character and value is one of those things it's not super easy to do if you don't have good examples. So looking for those examples are, who do I want to be? And we are such a society that looks for fame as our examples. And I think, so many people get caught up in, athletes or actors or, YouTube greatness or something like that. And I'm realizing that, when you're looking at those folks, you're seeing them at their best. You're not seeing them at their worst. And so you have to be around people in order to see both sides of that, so you can develop who you are. For every post that I could put on, I do a mindset daily that I do on Facebook, and I think of all the content that I put out there. But that's not me all day long. That's me preparing and putting content out and really trying to be at my best and cheery and happy and, really trying to feed into people. But there's another side of me, that isn't that person, and that's everybody else. And realizing that, I think, is part of the biggest foundation, is who I emulate or who I follow, because we're probably close to the top, 5, people that we hang around with is who you're most like. Having that foundation around good people, I think, is a really good idea to have.
Really exactly. Yeah, I know that. You talked about doing things even when nobody's watching, right? How are you even when the camera is not potentially being shined on you? And this is just me and stuff. I find myself, like if I go to the restroom, like a public restroom and stuff, and I see the paper towels on the floor, I'm like, what? Why didn't somebody just throw this in the the trash is right there. It's not like they could have, it's not like there wasn't a trash can. The trash can was there, right? So I find myself picking up somebody else's paper towels and throwing them away. That's just like something that I do. Now the cameras are not on in the bathroom. At least right, at least not right now. They're not, right. But that's something that who knows what it's going to be later on. But biblical insights, I think as Christians, we have a source, we have the source to plug into to work on our reputation. There's a lot of proverbs that deal with reputation and so forth. I mean, we can really lean in to the Bible to help us when it comes to a good reputation.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you think biblically, Jesus is our master mentor that we look at his life. But then we also have to look at it and give ourselves a little bit of grace, because you go through like a Samson or a David or a Joshua or even a Paul or Peter, all these Judas. They all have things that God took and flipped around and transformed so that they could be the type of people that we want to emulate, the type of people. But they're not without blemish. They're not without mistake. You think of David as an adulteress and a murderer, and still a person after God's own heart. And you think of how much grace God has given us to not beat ourselves up when we make those mistakes. And then when people, I think people even love us more when they see that we've done something and then we've come out of it. Because then we're real characters, we're real people, we're real, that it's not this facade that I think we see so much in our society of, we should be perfect, we should be able to do no wrong. But when they can see our faults or see us make our mistakes, they feel that they can do it too. Or they can move forward.
Mm-hmm. That reminds me of sometimes in my life to where I've saw someone who was like a mentor type person, right? Somebody that I really had a lot of respect for. And then you get to know them, and sometimes you get close and you get to know them and everything is fine. But sometimes you're like, wow, they got some issues.
Right? Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Well, even, just simple things like, and language isn't that big of a deal, but for me it is. To me it is. It's like, who do I look at, when I'm saying words or things that would be like that people would then go, oh, I don't like that person. That person, acts this way one time and says all these things, and then all of a sudden uses all these just crazy words that don't go with. And are you going to go to hell for using bad language? No, not at all. But at the same time, you go, oh my gosh, yeah. Why I don't want to hang around this person. I don't like the way they talk to their kids. I don't like the way they talk to other people. I don't like their attitude, when they're upset, or not even when they're upset, just their normal way of speaking to other people. I look at myself in the mirror and go, did I do that? Because if I did, I need to change that person.
Yeah. The whole bad language thing is fascinating to me, because I know how to cuss. I'm sure you know how to cuss, but I don't. Right? It just to me is not helping the conversation. It's not adding some nice pepper and salt into the mix. To me, it's the exact opposite, right? It shows me that you don't have enough intelligence to broaden your vocabulary, to be able to articulate something without all the cussing. When back in the day when Sinbad was a stand-up, well, I guess he still is a stand-up comic kind of guy, but he was funny, but he never said he never cussed. And he was hilarious, right? So you don't have to, Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, folks, if you want to get in on the conversation, you can go on Facebook and type in a question. I'm talking to my good friend Brian Arnold, and we're just going through this, talking about a good reputation. And then, Brian, there's real world applications when it comes to a reputation. And we've been kind of hashing this out already, right? Because if you don't have a bad reputation, or if you're going to apply for a job, all they have to do is do one quick little Google search on you, go to a social media platform, and they're like, no, we don't want this person anywhere near our organization, right? So I mean, it could have implications far beyond what you think. It just, you just kind of going off on somebody.
Yeah, you think of, it takes so many hours or conversations to create a reputation where people believe and trust in you.
Mm.
And it takes one thing that you do that can destroy that reputation for so long. And that's a real world application of, you start thinking of, some of the famous people who have done something, and this word that we have is getting canceled. You love them forever, and they're these, amazing people, and they've made one thing that's happened in their life, and all of a sudden we got to cancel them away from our society. We can't talk to them anymore. They can't, they've done wrong. You think that happened in my micro world. I go to work and, I do something at work and I treat someone bad, or I do something that will, can destroy how well you even move up in your job. Not just, finding a job, and now you have your job and all of a sudden you're blackballed from being able to move. And we live in a society that judges first, which is hard. And I try to make sure that I don't do that with people. They just judge, boom. As soon as you hit it, it's over. We're judging you. And it's so important, like you said, that's that real world application, is you are visible wherever you are. And me as being before being a teacher, I go places and I have students that I had 20 years ago who still see me in the store and remember me. Now I can't remember them for the life of me, because I had, 7,000 students. But for me, I was that one teacher or that one coach. I've been coaching over at Cherokee Trail for the last, 10 years. I see those kids, they look at my life. They look at who I am, so they can kind of determine who they are. And so that's a huge responsibility. When you think of my reputation isn't only what I do visually, it's what people believe is who I am, because that affects them.
Right. So we still have a few minutes left, and I know you wanted to talk about the 5 love languages and how it's helped you. So share some of that.
All I can say is when I go back, and it's Jerry Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages, where it's gifts, and he put them up here on the screen, affirmations and physical touch and quality time. What I found out is, if you can find out what somebody's love language is very quickly, you now have that trust that expedites itself so much quicker in developing your relationships. Just to kind of give you an idea of just in my kids, well, even my wife. So my wife, I know her love language is words of affirmation and quality time. Those are her 2 big ones. So if I go and I give her stuff like gifts, like maybe that's my love language, so I give her gifts. That isn't helping me. What I got to do is spend time. So this is just one quick example is, I spend time where I'm watching a show that I have no idea, want to watch, think about watching. She's into embroidery and making purses and, watching people sew on YouTube. I have no desire to sew anything ever in my life. But I will sit there and I will watch the video with her, and I will, and that gives me so much more credibility. My daughter, one of her love languages is gifts. So if I send my daughter a gift card and then wonder why she hasn't talked to me in 2 months, then I know why, because she wants the thought of giving a gift to be there. Now I have to watch out because my love language is acts of service. So I like people doing things for me, or I do things for people all the time, and so that's what kind of fills my love tank, makes me feel great. And when I think about this whole thing of the importance of reputation, if you can build a reputation with folks that you have relationships with around their love languages, then you're golden, because now you've actually thought and said, you are important to me. In fact, you are so important to me that I'm going to find out what makes you happy, and I'm going to do some of those things that make you happy. And so it's just, it's one of those things that I can say over the last 40 years, that I can say all the things that have made a huge difference in my relationships. And basically what a good reputation is relationships. And I can say the number one thing is knowing these love languages and understanding them and working through them.
Yeah, and to your point, it expands beyond your marriage or your family and stuff like that, right? If you know your partner, your business partner's love language, or your customers' love language, you can really have them leaning into you and stuff, when it comes to providing them the best quality service.
Oh,
My
absolutely.
love, yeah, my love language is also acts of service. So I'm always doing stuff for people, thinking they're going to be excited, and no, because my wife's love language is words of affirmation.
Most
So
likely.
she loves for me to comment about her, and and ask her about how she's doing, just talking, right? And I'm not a talker, even though I have a podcast, right? This is not my comfort zone. I'm way out of my
Mhm.
comfort zone right now doing this, but I do it because of that, right? Because I'm trying to grow, I'm trying to become more, right? So yeah, the languages are critical. So what we've done in our book and also on our website is we have a love assessment, because a lot of people don't even know what their own personal love language is, right? So we have a love assessment that helps them identify their love persona or their love profile, or in this case, their love language. And it's a free love assessment. They can go to our website and take the love assessment anytime. It also gives us a way to help them if they want some help on refining their love language or love persona. We can help them in that regard. So yeah, it's a great way to do it, and it's free. They can go to our website and check that out.
So important to do. So important to do, to go take that assessment, learn who you are,
Yeah.
because you're normally going to communicate the way that you are, and
Mhm.
then then you really realize that, okay, if I'm communicating the way that I am and it's not working, for
Yeah.
instance, I can go make the bed every single day, but it goes so much further just to say, good morning, you look great, honey. I'm so
Right.
excited that you're
Right.
doing it. Because if her love language is not acts of service like mine, which is making the bed, she could care less
Right.
about the she cares about how I talk to her.
Hmm.
And I save so much more of my energy trying to do stuff for her when it doesn't matter. And so
Yeah.
it's so important. I tell you, it will change your life if you learn these and really learn how to start communicating to people. Whether, like my athletes that I do, that, like you say, customers to people, and I can really figure out somebody's language probably in the first 10 minutes of knowing them, just by
Hmm.
asking questions. And now our
Right.
relationship goes through the roof, and we can communicate in ways, just because I'm willing to go do that, because that is important to me, to make others feel welcome, good, loved. And then it's easy to get whatever you're trying to get done. And
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned probably the most powerful tool when it comes to relationships, when it comes to marketing and sales or what have you, or even leadership or management in a company. Ask questions. You ask questions, you start to find out a lot of things that you may or may not know, or maybe you may not want to know, but you need to ask the questions to get more information as to what's going on. A lot of times people just rush into a situation because they think they know what's going on, and they find out that they
mhm,
don't, right? So ask the
they don't
questions.
need that.
No, that's critical. That's critical. So we're at the top of the hour. Any final words you want to share with the audience before we close out?
I'd say, if you're worried about working on your reputation, give us a call. Let's talk to you. Let's work through it together,
Yeah.
because there's some things that are blind spots for people that they don't know. My website is bryanearnold.com, bryanearnold.com. I have a daily mindset that I think, for folks that would just want to listen to, some 2 minutes. All of them are only 2 minutes long. I've been over 400 or 500 days now that I've been doing it straight, and
Yes.
it's just fun to do, to just have people think about life and stuff. But you're not alone in this. Find some people of faith, find some people that can just talk, because it doesn't have to be, I'm telling you what to do. It's just the conversation that gives you ideas. And so take advantage of that when you can. Read the books that are out there, the listen to podcasts like this, but contact people when you're struggling. I think that
Awesome.
would be the one thing that I would say.
Awesome. I appreciate you, Brian. So, folks, you can
Absolutely.
get our free ebook and take our free 5-minute love assessment. We have a 5-minute and a 20-minute love assessment on IamLoveBuilders.com. And it's going to help you become a relationship MVP, the most valuable partner in your relationship. And remember, if you're not having fun, you are not doing it right. We will see you on the next show. Bye-bye for now.